What's up, everybody? It's Josh. Welcome back to my channel. Thanks for stopping by. Today, I'm going to be talking about the Mestel SGE 400/3 BB gas mask. And I'm also going to do a brief overview of gas masks in general. This is not meant to be an in-depth technical discussion about this mask or other masks. If you need that kind of video, I'm going to put some links to some much more detailed technical videos. Urban Prepper has a great video about this gas mask, and he reviews other gas masks as well. So before we start, there's an image that I'm sure you've seen before. It was taken in 2014, and it's a picture of a man named Edward Crawford. He's wearing an American flag t-shirt, and in one hand he has a tear gas canister, and he's got perfect form as he's about to launch this tear gas canister. Now, every picture is worth 1,000 words, and the story behind this picture is that Mr. Crawford was a peaceful protester in Ferguson, Missouri, protesting the death of Mike Brown and police brutality when the police launched a tear gas canister in his direction near some children. He picked it up and he threw it away, not towards the police, but in a different direction to protect himself and the children. These people were protesting police brutality, and unfortunately they were met with more police brutality in the form of tear gas and pepper spray. And these agents can cause some pretty severe short-term issues, difficulty breathing, burning eyes, blurred vision, a choking sensation. And even though they're classified as non-lethal or less than lethal, in certain situations, say if someone has an underlying cardiopulmonary disease, asthma for example, or if you're exposed to these at a close range or in a confined space, they can cause more serious issues such as permanent visual damage, blindness even, respiratory failure. So in addition to that, a lot of times these canisters are launched with a gas launcher. So they're projectiles, which can cause, if they hit you in the right place, permanent eye damage, traumatic brain injury, concussion. And on the topic of projectiles, police have been known to shoot pepper balls, which are basically the same thing as paintballs shot from a paintball gun, except they're filled with pepper spray instead of paint. In addition, they've used foam batons, which is really just a euphemism for rubber bullets. Now, obviously, if you get hit with any of these in the right place, we're talking about serious injuries such as possible blindness or traumatic brain injury. Now, this video is not intended to advocate that you go out in the streets and riot and protest, but I am making this video in the case that you may find yourself in a situation where chemical agents may be used against you. Also, we're going to talk about some other scenarios in which a gas mask might be appropriate. I'm going to talk about the anatomy of the gas mask. I'm going to talk about its uses, the maintenance, the cleaning, as well as some different types of gas masks. I'm also going to talk about where you can find this mask, and I'm going to leave a whole bunch of links to different resources regarding gas masks in general, and even a little bit of resources on protesting. So why do I have a gas mask? I like to be prepared. I am not a doomsday prepper. I know that prepping has a negative connotation, but to me, my number one goal as a husband and a father is to make sure that my family is provided for and protected. So when I think about prepping, I'm not thinking about having an underground bunker and a whole bunch of ammo. I'm thinking about things like saving money, making sure that you've got a life insurance plan, making sure that you've got a hurricane season plan. In South Florida, that's super important. I'm going to be posting a video on my hurricane preparedness plan, so make sure you subscribe so you can see that as soon as it drops. So to me, being prepared means being mindful about your situation, understanding what's currently going on, and taking a responsible and proactive approach to it. So right now, not only are we dealing with a global pandemic in COVID-19, but we're also dealing with civil unrest. And we know that there is tear gas and pepper spray being used against American civilians. So I can't think of a much better time to invest in a gas mask. So what's the purpose of a gas mask? It's to protect the wearer from potentially toxic airborne pollutants and chemicals. Some gas masks also have the added benefit, like this one, of protecting you from projectiles, and we'll get into that a bit later. So what do they protect you against? So this gas mask is rated as CBRN, so that's chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear. So it's going to protect against chemicals such as agricultural chemicals, industrial chemicals, anything that might be in the air, smoke, if you live near a volcano, if you live near an area where there's forest fires, it can protect you from the smoke from a house fire. Biological, basically any virus, any bacteria, even those that can be weaponized, you're going to be protected against this. Radiological, basically any fallout, radiological and nuclear, basically any fallout from any sort of nuclear attack. God forbid something like that happens. So what do you look for in a gas mask? There are a lot of different options with gas masks. One of them is just the nose and the mouth mask, leaving the eyes exposed. This one is a full face mask. There are also gas masks that protect the eyes that are goggles. There are face masks that like this one that has an additional port at the bottom where you can attach a canteen. There are some where you can also attach a speaking diaphragm or microphone. The most important thing though, when you're looking for a gas mask, it's not really the gas mask itself, but it's the filters. As long as you buy a solid mask, it doesn't have to be the newest mask. The most important thing is buying a good filter. And the filters that I have here are the 40 millimeter NATO filters. These filters can be used on a variety of different types of masks, and I'm going to show you how to install these in the mask in just a second. How much do they cost? I've learned that you can find just about anything for any price online if you look long enough. But a lot of those things are reused, which is cool. Like I said, you don't really need a new mask. You just need new filters. But if you're looking to buy a new mask, depending on the kind that you get, it can start anywhere from $30, $40 all the way up to several $100s. This gas mask was in the $250 range. Now, also keep in mind, there's a huge demand right now for gas masks. So a lot of them are sold out and they're being sold on the secondary market for a much higher markup value. So I was lucky to find this one directly from the producer at its MRSP price, MSRP price. All right, so now I'm going to talk about this specific mask. All right, so like I said, this is a Mestel SGE 400/3 BB, okay? So the 400, well, first of all, let me tell you about Mestel. Mestel is an Italian company, and they started off by making breathing masks and things for scuba diving. So this is where they started, and then they started making more personal protective equipment, and they ended up making some of the top of the line respirators and gas masks. So in the Mestel line, there are masks starting from the 150 level all the way up to the 400 level. I'm going to put a link in the description below that's going to that's a link to the Mestel website where they compare all the different masks that they sell. So like I said, this is the SGE 400/3. So the 3 is signifying that there are 3 different places where you can put filters. You can put 1 filter on at a time, or you can put 3 filters on all at once. I'm just going to show you one of the places where you can install the filter. So you can put the filter right in the front like this. Or you can put it on either side. And the benefit of this is if you need to use a weapon while you're wearing the gas mask, whichever hand is your dominant hand, you can just flip the filter to the opposite side and have a fully unobstructed view of your target and be able to use your weapon without having to make any modifications to how you hold it. I prefer putting the filter right in the front. Again, I haven't really been out in the streets like using this filter or using this gas mask, but to me, this is right here in the center. You still have really great visual clearance with the filter being right here in the center, and it just kind of looks and feels more balanced to me. So the BB stands for the butyl rubber, and that's the one difference between the 400/3. The BB specifies the butyl rubber, and that's what gives a really tight seal to make this thing mustard gas proof as well. I don't know that they're using mustard gas, but if I'm gonna buy a gas mask, I wanna buy one that's gonna protect me against everything that I might find. The next thing I'm gonna talk about is this polycarbonate ballistic visor. So this thing is going to be resistant to a 1-inch ball bearing being launched at the mask at 330 miles per hour. This visor is also solvent and scratch resistant. So if something does get on the visor, it's going to wipe off and your view is not going to be obstructed. So that's super important. If you don't want your visor getting damaged or scratched up so that you can't see and you have to take the mask off in a dangerous situation. So definitely another benefit to this is having this really strong polycarbonate visor. This also has an internal mouth and nose piece, and this is helpful for two reasons. One, it's going to keep all the air flowing through here to prevent your visor from fogging up and obstructing your view. Also, it's going to prevent CO2 from building up in the nooks and crannies. And the last thing I want to talk about is the way this thing fits on your head. So there are 6 straps, they're quick release straps, and this thing goes on your head so nicely, so tightly, that if you were to have these filter nozzles on, all 3 of them on, this thing gives you such a tight seal that you're gonna have a problem breathing within just a few seconds. So this thing fits on really tight, and again, that's what gives you the protection against mustard gas. There's 2 other features that I want to talk about. They're optional features with this gas mask that I haven't taken advantage of, but I can with this model, is that there is an attachment for a drinking straw through a canteen that can attach right to here. That way you can drink your water or whatever without having to take off your mask. If you're in a situation where you can't even drink without taking off your mask, this is super helpful. Another thing is that you can attach a microphone or a speaking diaphragm. I'm gonna put this mask on and you're not gonna be able to understand a word that I'm saying. So if you're in a situation where you need to communicate, it may be helpful to have either a microphone or the speaking diaphragm so you can communicate to people that are nearby you. All right, so I'm gonna put this mask on and show you just how easy it is to put on and how tight of a seal it is.
So there it is. I don't know how well you can understand me right now, but I can breathe easily. I'm breathing in and out. You can see that the mask is not fogging up. This thing is secure and tight to my face, and I have no problem breathing whatsoever. I got a full view. My view is not obstructed at all. I can see my visor right here. It is in my line of sight, but it's not obstructing my view at all. If I want to move it off to the side, I can just unscrew it. And move it right off to the side. It feels a little bit unbalanced, but if I'm in a situation where I need to shoot a rifle or something, it's good because it's off to the side and it's not obstructing my view at all. It's a quick release. It's really easy to take off.
Just that simple. Now, if I'm in a situation where I'm actually exposed to any of these chemicals that this mask is protecting me from, I'm going to want to make sure that I have some kind of hearing protection before I take this mask off. Now, again, we're talking about a gas mask that's going to protect your face, your eyes, and your respiratory system. If you're out there in a situation where there are all sorts of chemicals being used, then you may need something to protect your skin as well. We're not going to go into all of that, but if that's the level of preparedness that you want to be at, there's definitely videos on YouTube or all across the internet where you can figure out what kind of hazmat suit that you need. And Mestel actually sells a hood that's compatible with this, and you can find all sorts of hazmat suits all over the place. So the last thing I want to touch on is the filters one more time. Again, you can wear this mask with just one filter, or you can wear it with 3 filters. And if you wear it with all 3, then that kind of extends the amount of time that you're able to breathe with this face mask on. These filters do have a finite lifespan. They have a shelf life of about 5 years if you keep them sealed up like this. There are other filters that have a 20-year shelf life. But you really don't want to test the shelf life of your filters. When they're close to expiration, you want to make sure that they're, that you throw them out and you get new filters, because again, the filters are what does the heavy lifting for the gas masks. So that's basically it. Again, this wasn't meant to be an exhaustive look at this gas mask or all gas masks in general, but it was meant to be kind of covering the bases and kind of getting you started. Now, I hope that I was able to answer any basic questions that you have. And if you have any more questions, I hope I'm able to point you in the direction where you can get the resources that you need to make the decision on what kind of gas mask you want to buy if you feel that's something you need for your preparation plan. So if I left anything out, feel free to leave it in the comments section. If you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have. And if you found value in this video, go ahead and press that like button, and also go ahead and subscribe. Again, I really appreciate you watching the video, and I'll see you next time.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.